The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Good evening and welcome to Sudden Impact Radio on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the man they call Meathead. We are watching Impact Wrestling right now as Kurt Angle attacking the Cowboy James Storm, or as I plan on calling him for the rest of the time, he wears that stupid baseball cap, the baseball cap James Storm, because the Cowboy doesn't wear a baseball cap. He wears a cowboy hat, but that's neither here nor there. I am the man they call Meathead. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight. We are watching the main event, or the final segment in Impact, as Kurt Angle returns and lets James Storm know, as he's about to tell him right now on the microphone, I'm the one that attacked you, setting up a nice little feud between Kurt Angle and James Storm. It gives, again, James Storm something to do. It gives AJ and Bobby Roode something to do. We've got a lot going on tonight's show, really no horsing around. Let's run down Impact. Let's talk about everything else that's been going on. But first, if you want to get mentioned on the show tonight, make sure you're using the hashtag SuddenImpact. Also, don't forget we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report, and at Twitter at just one at PWR Show. Also, I am on Twitter as well, WCW Meathead, and on Facebook, the man they call Meathead. But first off, let's talk about Impact. The show starts off with Bobby Roode in the ring, and he runs his promo talking about how he'll do anything to win the belt. Again, I'm loving the way Bobby Roode is coming off as a champion. He's coming off as a man who wants to do just about anything. And if you heard us talk about it on the post show after the pay-per-view this last Sunday, he's coming across, Damian mentioned, he's coming across like a Christian-type champion who will, not to steal Eddie's line, the anniversary of Eddie passing just recently, but he will lie, cheat, and steal and do whatever it takes to be the TNA heavyweight champion. He ran over his friend. He ran over whoever. It didn't matter who he ran over. He is now the TNA champion. So Bobby Roode gets interrupted by the Cowboy James Storm, and again, it's the baseball hat James Storm, because I'm not a television major. I'm not a radio major. I'm not a communications major, but you would think one of the things you want to do when you're on television is show your face. And somebody needs to tell this to Cowboy James Storm. When you have your baseball hat all the way down to your face, the camera can't see you because of the shadow. So, without it saying Cowboy James Storm, without hearing him, you can't see his face. That's a problem. Again, you would think with this being a television product, you would think with this being a company that is running a television show every week, Spike TV runs these TV shows along with TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, if you will. Somebody would say, hey, let's try to market Cowboy James Storm. Let's try to look at his face. Let's try to see what he looks like. Can't tell what he looks like because his damn hat's over his face. How can you market a guy when you can't see him? But that's neither here nor there. So AJ Styles comes out as well. Sting coming out after that, setting up a new match for the next pay-per-view, Final Resolution, which is TNA's December pay-per-view, and it's going to be Bobby Roode against AJ Styles in a 30-minute Iron Man match. So I don't know what happened to James Storm's real rematch shot. I mean, I know that he had the rematch on Impact and laid in the ring bloodied and got pinned again, but shouldn't Sting, if he's the face commissioner, the face man in charge, the face, power authority, shouldn't he give him a real rematch? I don't know. But anyways, Style, Roode's 30-minute Iron Man match, Final Resolution for the belt. So we are there. Also, the TV championship was on the line. Robbie E, obviously featuring Robbie T, and I know Damian loves the whole the rope. You don't get past the rope unless you're part of the in crowd. Didn't we see MVP do that, 4 or 5 years ago? And it wasn't cool back then either. At least I don't think it was. So, I thought it was a solid match. Devon, he was wrestling. He had some new wrestling gear that just said testify. His son's again out at ringside. And how long has that gimmick been going on with his son's at ringside, Pope coming out to escort him out to the ring, and again interference, Devon distracted by his sons tending to the Pope. And don't you think, and I'm not saying that, they're going this route, but don't you think with everything that's been going on in the news as far as Sandusky and the other guy at, Syracuse, being accused or, allegedly doing these things, don't you think they'd stop the whole child mentoring thing? And I think it just should just go. That's just me. So, but again, Devon had a chance to win the TV title. He didn't due to interference. Well, let's dial that back. Not due to interference, due to a lack of concentration, per the Pope, by the way, on Twitter, due to a lack of concentration because he went and eyeballed his kids outside the ring and got rolled up for the pinfall. Robbie E. still the TV champion. We're going to be taking phone calls later on in the show. If you want to call into the program, don't forget to give us a call, area code 347-996-5278. That's area code 347-996-5278 if you want to call in. Hey, quick reminder as well, next week Thursday is the Turkey Day. There will be no Sudden Impact Radio. I know there's going to be, Impact on, but there will be no Sudden Impact Radio. The man they call me that has some turkey to eat, some cranberries to eat, basically some family time to spend, folks. So there'll be no show next week. And don't forget, speaking of shows, coming up this Sunday, if you are in the Milwaukee area and want to hang around with Maria and watch the pay-per-view live with her for free, head on down to the Horny Goat, 600 East Ogden, right in downtown Milwaukee. Your chance to hang out with David Hero, Damian Nelson. I believe Frank said he would be around as well. But most importantly, not only Linda Kay, but Maria, formerly of WWE, will be there, and you can watch the pay-per-view absolutely free. Also, the man they call Meathead might just show up. We'll see. Depends on if Dave Hero's buying me dinner. So make sure you head on down, the Horny Goat, this Sunday to watch the pay-per-view absolutely free. So let's talk a little bit more about Impact. After we had Robbie E. beat Devon to retain the TV championship, James Storm in the back accuses Samoa Joe of beating him up before last week's main event, and they were fighting backstage. And I'll guarantee you what was going to happen right when you saw that. Even if you read the spoilers, you knew exactly how it was going to play out. James Storm was going to accuse everybody. He was going to go back and forth. You did it. No, you did it. No, you did it. Everybody's going to say, oh, no, I didn't do it. I was here. Oh, no, I didn't do it. I was here. That kind of gimmick's old for me. It's a little old. We've seen it. We've done it before. Just, let them fight. Don't have this CSI investigation going on during the wrestling match. If, James Storm is supposed to be beaten and bruised from the pay-per-view, and beaten and bruised from what Bobby Roode did to him, I didn't see any marks on his face. I didn't see any Band-Aids. I didn't see any of that stuff. Why are they not selling that? Where was James Storm, during the pay-per-view? Why wasn't he interfering in the main event? So if he was that beaten up not to interfere in the main event, when it came back to taping this week, is he completely healed now? So from the point of the pay-per-view to, if we're supposed to believe it's 4 days, did he resurrect himself? Is he back, 100%? Or is he just, 80% so he can go around and do a CSI investigation, but he can't really wrestle in the ring? Questions you got to ask yourself, folks. Also, during the Impact show, we had, James Storm going up to Mr. Anderson in his own personalized jersey, of course, playing my favorite game, Madden, in 2012, referring to his sphincter, and said, your sphincter smells, and he's pointing fingers at it. So did he imply that he was fingering Mr. Anderson? That's just weird. Who's writing this stuff? And if they're writing the scenarios and these guys are ad-libbing it and not using any words that are given to them, they're doing a poor job of it. I'm sorry. I did not like that segment at all. I was happy to see Anderson obviously on TV, but where was his match? Why wasn't he wrestling? He's just in the background playing video games? Come on, man. Anyway, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a look at the Twitter feed. We're going to take a look at Facebook, also the Chatosphere. We're going to bring that up a little bit later. You are listening to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. Welcome back. You're listening to Sudden Impact Radio on Blog Talk Radio. I am the man they call Meated. Again, if you want to call into the program tonight, area code 347-996-5278, 347-996-5278. Got action going on in the chatosphere. Also got Twitter. We got the Sudden Impact hashtag if you want to try to get your tweets on the show. We're going to head out to a call right now. Remember, when you call in, I want to make sure you give me your area code and the state that you're calling from. So first name, area code, state you're calling from. Go ahead, 219. Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm calling from Indiana.
Nicole from Indiana. Welcome to the program. What do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about the Ironman match that's being announced, and I'm not very impressed with a 30-minute Ironman match. I mean, really, 30 minutes? That's nothing, really. I mean, they're trying to grab heat from all the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, you know, with a lot of their history that's being brought up. Shouldn't they go ahead and just do the 60-minute Ironman match, really? Because I'm not impressed with the whole 30-minute thing. I think they really need to get these young wrestlers in there and fighting and prove that they're real strong wrestling men. So I'm not impressed with 30 minutes at all. It's a waste.
And I don't think you're the first, and I don't think you'll be the last to say that. I also am not impressed with a 30-minute match. What is the point? Because there's main events on normal pay-per-views that run longer than 30 minutes.
That's correct.
So how is it an Iron Man match if it's only 30 minutes?
Right. Now, I don't know about that.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But I'm glad to talk to you, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, okay?
Hey, Impact, was it pass or fail tonight? What do you think?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't mention it to you. Go ahead.
That's true. I think it was a pass. It was good. I always like seeing the girls wrestle. So I think it was a pass.
Okay. Thank you for calling. We'll talk to you again after Thanksgiving.
All right. Bye.
All right. Have a good night. All right. So again, if you want to call into the program, area code 347-996-5278. A pass so far. Again, I got to agree 100% that 30-minute Ironman match is redonkulous. Again, there's, regular wrestling matches that have gone on pay-per-view longer than 30 minutes. What is the point of that? If you want to be a true Ironman match, I mean, I guess if you're building up this thing between AJ and Robert Roode, Ironman match wasn't the right match to follow up the pay-per-view with. The Ironman match is, 3 or 4 matches down the road, not the one right after the pay-per-view. That's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. If you're following the pay-per-view up this last Sunday with another pay-per-view match, if they're going to run, 3, maybe 4 pay-per-views in a row, or some, live impacts or main events of Impact, you got to add other matches. Like you got to throw a tag match in there. You've got to throw, maybe a Falls Count Anywhere. You got to throw in maybe a hardcore rules or a, no disqualification, no DQ, or, some other gimmick. But the Iron Man match, that's got to be down the road. And if you really want to do it right, you finish the series with a cage match. But here we are, just 2 to 3 weeks away from, it being James Storm champion, now Robert Roode champion, now AJ Styles is going for Robert Roode is forgotten and pushed off to the side of that, and Robert Roode and AJ Styles are now in a last man standing match. But 30 minutes, how many pinfalls can you get in 30 minutes? Well, when the stipulation's set up like that, now they're going to get, maybe 2, 3 pinfalls in there. But if it wasn't a stipulation like that, they might go 30 minutes with 1 pinfall. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway. Sorry, I got a little worked up. Normally I've been, I wouldn't say accused, it's not the right word, but I've been, it's been suggested that I'm going to give you all the happy, fun story stuff about Impact, and it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, as I read in the chatosphere. Not about me specifically, but Impact irked me a little bit tonight. Again, I did like the fact that it was an intense Impact. I mentioned that the one after the last pay-per-view, that it was just intense action. You saw everything that was going down, just You could feel the intensity of everything that was going on. So, but this one, it irked me a little bit. I have to say that it was just a little different. There was some inconsistencies, if you will, that had happened. So, anyways, let's get back to running down Impact. Brian Kendrick and Jesse Sorensen, they beat A-Double Austin Aries and Kid Cash in a tag team match where Brian Kendrick looked like he got woken up out of bed, and Jesse Sorensen still showing the chopped liver look on his chest, and just didn't even look at Kid, just handed him a plastic football and moved off. Again, don't get me started on that. But they beat Aries and Kid Cash. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Austin Aries playing the uber heel, while Kid Cash is just playing the angry pit bull heel. And Austin Aries, again, I don't know why they think they're, it's good to yell out dick or, any of that other stuff that's going on there. But Austin Aries treating Cash like a punk, and, Kid Cash and Jesse Sorensen get the win. And, Kid Cash really made Jesse Sorensen look strong tonight. That part I was impressed with. It was a decent match. I was impressed with the fact that they put over Jesse Sorensen. Kendrick, didn't have much going on, but he was involved as well. So, good match from those guys. Love to see a good X Division match. What I'm really impressed about, and I'm going to get started on it, and we may take a break in between, but depending on how much of a role I get on here, the Knockouts Gauntlet match. I was very impressed with it. They didn't waste a lot of time on the girls that, quote-unquote, can't wrestle. Not saying that they can't work, but they didn't waste a lot of time on it. There was roll-ups, on the easy ones. I didn't like that Sarita didn't get enough time, I don't think. I think she should have got more time. Rosita, I think they gave her an appropriate amount of time, but Miss Tessmacher really shouldn't have been in there. And in the match, not one, but two sexually suggestive moves. We saw a stink face and a Bronco Buster, especially by my girl ODB. So, good wrestling, some explicit stuff. I think they can dial that back a little bit. I don't mind watching it. It's kind of funny to watch, but you know how if you work one portion of a match, like if you're working a guy's leg, you give the arm to the other guy. You work it back and forth. They shouldn't be doing the same type of moves over and over. Like, I know there was arguments in WWE once where one girl wore fur boots, the other girl wore fur boots, and, it was an issue. Make it separate. Make it everybody unique. So kind of using the same moves over and over. Love the way Winter looked in the match as well. Tessmacher and Tara's T-shirts, awful. It looked B-rate because they look like they got them made at a T-shirt shop. Got to come up with something better. And speaking of T-shirts, why is an announcer pimping new gear? I'm all for putting out new merchandise, but why is an announcer got new gear when the girls are making their own T-shirts at a T-shirt shop? I just don't get. Again, I'm having a hard time understanding what direction they're going in right now. I feel that they may have dropped the ball on this episode. So we're going to take another quick break. We're going to wrap it up. Like I said, we're going to mention Twitter, everybody that puts Sudden Impact in their tweets. We're also going to look at the Channelsphere, read off some of the comments from there. When I come back, this is Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio.
Tired of all the lies, rumors, and assumptions in wrestling news? So are we. Join us each week for the Pro Wrestling Report on ESPN Radio for the latest news and views on pro wrestling. Visit us at PWRshow.com to check the latest schedule.
Welcome back. You're listening to Sudden Impact Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the man they call Meathead. And final segment here, we're going to run down some of the stuff that was mentioned out in Twitter using the hashtag Sudden Impact. Good to see Kurt Angle. Obviously, I hope this leads to something good. That's Aaron BSC mentioning that he is happy to see Kurt Angle back. I'm definitely happy to see Kurt Angle back as well. I hope that him and James Storm have a good run. I think a pay-per-view, maybe two pay-per-views, would be great to see them interact back and forth. I think there could be great wrestling. Obviously Kurt Angle is a wrestling machine, but, don't discount James Storm as a wrestler. He's basically a beer drinking, long neck and redneck type of guy who's going to be a striker. But I think they could put on some solid matches. So, hey, also JB Leahy 26 says, I don't mind Mickie James winning, but did TNA just make her too invisible? ODB just gave her a KO move and she still wins? Yeah, it's a good point, especially that KO move that she gave her was at the run, at the end of that gauntlet run as well. It's one thing if she took the KO right away and then kind of rested up after that and then made it back through the gauntlet. She took that KO move at the end of that gauntlet run. So, who knows? But definitely a good point there as well. Also, don't forget we've got other opinions out there as well, as far as like Gunner. We're talking about Gunner's balloon apparently just got the air let out of it. I can't believe he just lost to Garrett Bischoff. And again, that's another thing, you don't want to get me started on Garrett Bischoff. I don't have anything against the guy. I'm glad to see he's working. Everybody's putting forth the effort to put him over in the company. So, but is that really what's helping? A certain guy by the name of Dave Hero put it out on Twitter, as far as I saw. I thought I saw that he said, is that what's helping the company? I like Garrett Bischoff, to be honest with you, but I don't like him on 3 times a night. I don't like him, getting the huge rub that he's getting. Give me more of a character with Garrett. Give me more to kind of follow into. So, hey, also in the chatosphere here tonight, Samoa Joe needs to be champ. That's Mustache87. The only reason I called you out, Mustache, is because it is November or Movember. Don't forget Meathead trying to raise money for men's health and prostate cancer awareness. So Movember, Mustache87. Samoa Joe needs to be the champ. Way to call it out. Hey, let's run down the rest of Impact here. There was a backstage segment with Sting and Garrett Bischoff, and in comes Morgan and Crimson out of nowhere. He sets them up as a tag team and gives them a tag team title shot against Mexican America. Not bad team. They were just adversaries. So let's say, why don't we just slap you two guys together? I guess, whatever. Karen Jarrett coming out to the ring to call out Jeff Hardy. This segment had some issues as well. Karen Jarrett, I believe, fell into the Kid Cash role that I've been mentioning for the last couple of weeks. Way too much time to talk, and she was reaching definitely. And Jeff Hardy had to stand there and listen to it. So how can Karen Jarrett say she's got the biggest balls around, but she's married to Jeff Jarrett, and then say that Jeff Jarrett, she's not out there to do his dirty work? He's man enough. But if he's man enough, why didn't he come out right away? I mean, we obviously see that, he's doing the heel thing, she's doing the heel thing, and Jarrett was behind him, was going to sneak attack on Jeff Hardy. But just so many contradictions in that little promo that she cut. It was hard to follow. And she kept stumbling over words. I understand stumbling over words. I do it all the time. But I'm also not in front of, hundreds of thousands of people on TV. So to have Karen Jarrett cut such a long promos, I don't think is healthy. Again, I like back and forth, where you get a chance to reset, think about what's being said to you, and then reply. That's just me, though. Crimson and Matthew Morgan win the tag team titles by beating Mexican America. It was a pretty good match. I was actually happy to see Hernandez get up there, do a little flying, if you will. Not the same kind of flying that he used to do with, Homicide, but the big man got up and flew, even though it was over the back of his partner, but he still got up there and flew. And Garrett Bischoff, beat Gunner again. How does that help TNA? How does it help Gunner? Really? How does it help Garrett Bischoff? Granted, he's had 2 matches, he's got 2 wins. I mean, the argument could be made for, say, a 1-2-3 Kid with a couple big wins over the Brooklyn Brawler. That set him off. We'll have to see, folks. We'll have to see. Technically, that Garrett Bischoff-Gunner match, quote-unquote, was the main event. That was the lead match. But that's only because we had a headlining segment with James Storm coming out in his baseball cap. Again, they kept showing his face, but all I saw was a shadow. And, folks, I've got a high-definition TV. I've got a nice-sized TV, nice crystal LED TV. I still couldn't see his face. If you're flipping channels and all you see is a baseball cap and the guy on a microphone, are you going to stop? But then again, if you see James Storm's face, would you stop for that too? But if you built him up enough, you'd say, hey, I recognize him. That's James Storm. Some issues that they got to work out here. But anyways, Storm calls out AJ Styles, and they start fighting. Kazarian coming out to try to break them up and walks with Styles at back. And out of nowhere, Kurt Angle attacks Storm after returning, laying him out with the Angle slam. And then Angle reveals it was him, last week in the shower before the main event. So, Angle comes back, gets all the heat again. But it's a good kind of heat, I think, because now Storm has something to go after. He can go after Kurt Angle. How long is that heat going to last, though? I don't know. We've got about 60 seconds. I'm going to take one more call here from the 347 area code. I need to know your name and the state that you're calling from. Go ahead, 347. 347, go ahead. Yeah, that call is dropped off. Well, give us a call back next week. Hey, don't forget, if you're in the Milwaukee area this Sunday, Horny Goat Highway, head on down and meet Maria, formerly of WWE, and watch the pay-per-view with her Survivor Series absolutely free. Also, there'll be a Be It a Booker on the website, pwrshow.com, this weekend as well. Don't forget, folks, next week, no Sudden Impact Radio. It is Thanksgiving. I need time with the family, so there will be no show. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate the chatosphere. Thank you for hitting us up on Twitter and on Facebook as well. That's the facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. I am the man they call Meathead. Thank you for joining this show once again. We will talk to you in 2 weeks. Good night.